Hello, what's going on everybody? Sebastian here with Spin Driver School, and today we are going to take a look at more snow slash slush driving videos. So basically we're going to go over driving in slushy conditions, which is kind of snow, kind of wet. It's weird. Let's go. Okay, so right off the bat here, we're going to do a little parallel park. No big deal. You could be asked to parallel park in these conditions. Now, it might be a little bit slippery. Usually when it's slushy, the tires, depending on how slushy it is, will cut through to get to the road. However, you can slide around. In this case, my student was actually sliding around a little bit, especially if you're not experienced, if you don't know what you're doing, if you just don't have the experience of driving in these conditions, right? So as I always say, go out there and practice. But parallel parking in this sort of environment is not going to be much different than anything else, except for the fact that you're on a slushy road, right? So you just have to instinctively be aware of that, because if you hit parts of any slush or snow, or especially any frozen hard parts, which we'll get into in a moment, that might feel like you're hitting the curb. Mistakes can occur, so being present and having that awareness definitely helps. But other than that, as far as the maneuvers and the procedure and the technique and the method, it all stays the same. It's just the surface and the environment is different. That's all. So, when again, like I said earlier, when it's slushy, the tires usually just cut through it unless you have some frozen parts, which, on these days, especially in the mornings, depending on the weather conditions, if it's, and the temperature, clearly you're going to have different conditions, and they could vary, right? You leave your house in the morning and the snow is hard and slushy, and then eventually it melts depending where the sun and how the sun hits the roads, depending on the elevation. This is why if you're doing your road test, a lot of times, depending on what the weather conditions are like, they will stick to only certain areas. Also here, if you notice, it's quite glary, so with the sun, that is a major hazard. So make sure that you talk about that on your road test as well. If you ask about the hazards, make sure that you have your sunglasses on handy, because this can be very visually impairing. So I've known of people that failed because they couldn't see either traffic lights or stop signs because the sun was in their face. On top of that, you have the glare effect as well. Making the right turn, now in this case it's a little bit icy, and my student basically overturns, then we hit the snowy patch and I had to grab the wheel. So look how easy it is to oversteer, and then on top of that to slide into another car or into a curb. So good control and speed is key. We're going to slide here a little bit too. You'll be able to hear it. I mean, this is pretty much all ice. So again, depending on the temperature, if the conditions are right and this stuff freezes, it's a nightmare. I mean, this is probably the worst case scenario to drive in, is frozen snow and ice. Even on low heat, in certain parts, people are sliding around, as I was as well, in the morning, like around 10 o'clock. And look at that in this situation. This Tesla definitely should have pulled over. They had a little bit of space there further on the left-hand side, their right-hand side. But, if someone's not going to pull over, you just stop, and hopefully there's enough space on both sides to clear. But there was really nowhere for us to pull over. Clearly on the left-hand side, there's more space, and the snow is a little bit lower. So look, so the road is black, and this is not a problem as long as you stay in the center, if you don't have to move over or pull over for someone else. But the conditions can change, just overnight, just like that. This is literally the day after. It snowed, temperatures drop, so it goes from, intersection looking like this to the intersection being basically a skating ring. Right, same with the road. The road is all black, or not all of it, but at least the center. Boom, there we go. Now it's slushy and it's frozen on top of that. So this is going to be very slippery. You'll see I'll be making a right turn here. Boom, look at that. So if you are doing your road testing these conditions, a lot of times you will not going to be asked to do a parallel park, especially on the hill. I mean, because if you get stuck in there, good luck getting out unless you have a lot of, again, experience and practice. And you can get out of there, but a lot of times if you start sliding or moving the car around due to loss of control, you can fail your road test. The examiners almost always bring this up on the test. If you're doing a maneuver, if you're doing anything and you're sliding, you know, whether it's rain or in these situations. So, and for class 7, you're not going to be doing your test if it's like this. Very unlikely. For class 5, sure. Or as I said earlier, you'll just be taken to a different area where the roads are a little bit better, right? So these higher elevations will have worse conditions like upper Mosscrop boundary, you know, Metrotown, so on and so forth. So if you're going uphill, expect to slide and have worse conditions than downhill. So you see how slowly we were approaching these situations? So just go nice and slow. The slow speed does it here, because now, again, you're stopping, we're losing momentum, so it's harder to leave and harder and more likely to slip. It's more likely for the wheels to slide in these situations because of the icy conditions and because we are losing momentum and come to a full stop. So you want to go easy on the throttle, right? Don't accelerate too hard. Go nice and gentle. And then once you catch the road, you know, the concrete, the asphalt, what have you, then you can accelerate and speed up and match your speed accordingly, depending on what the conditions are as well and where you are. So look at that. We're going to do, there's a lot more sliding, right? Even sliding to the side. And I'm not going fast here. I'm going maybe like 15, 20 kilometers an hour. Right here, I'm going a little bit faster. And as in my previous videos, I have ABS braking, so I'm braking a lot earlier here than what it seems. It's just because I have the anti-locking mechanism. It prevents the car from sliding, but I'm already braking here, right? So it still takes me a while to come to a full stop, and I'm still sliding. So if there's something in front of me, you know, I'm gonna hit it if I don't give myself a lot of space. So keep that in mind. Go out there, practice in these conditions, and stay safe. We'll see you again next time. До свидания.